your style is different, unlike any documentary filmmaker, and the kind of commitment and the kind of topics that you pick, those are different.
My name is Priya Thuvassery. I am from Calicut, Cotticollan, which is the north part of Kerala. But for the last 1 decade almost, I have been living in Delhi. I came here just to do my masters. My soul and heart is always in Kerala. I'm a Mallu girl, I would say, but Mallu lady. No, I can't call myself girl anymore. But yeah, I thought that I'll just do my 2 years of masters and I'll go back. I'll work in Kerala. But that return never happened. It was because I started working here. I joined NDTV as like soon after my mass communication masters from Jamia. Then life took a different journey. I would say that getting into documentaries and life was very different. And so yeah, now I am living in Delhi. I quit my corporate 24/7 news job like 2 years back. And ever since, I've been doing independent work, which is much more fun and like more freedom. But yeah, like working almost a decade for a news channel helped a lot in what I'm doing right now. I think my political thinking, the fastness I am doing, all those process, I think was nourished or polished during my NDTV days. So yeah, that is like, but I don't call myself as a filmmaker. I would basically call myself maybe a storyteller and maybe story listener. I think any storyteller should be a good listener before telling those stories. Yeah.
Interestingly, I've noticed that as a storyteller, so there is a question as a storyteller need not limit to a documentary style of making.
So I always debate about what is a documentary. For me, a documentary is just it's as close as fiction. Because as soon as you keep a camera, I believe that people are conscious. As a filmmaker, I am just deciding what to be shown, how long it should be shown, and before and after, what am I placing when I am telling that particular story. So I am actually controlling it. So how do you call it a documentary if the definition of a documentary is documentation of reality? I am showing the way the reality should be shown. The difference I find is you are dealing with real stories and real people. So you can even tell the real stories in fiction, but here are our actors or our characters are real people. My first love was definitely fiction. I thought like I will be a fiction filmmaker because at that stage of learning cinema, I thought documentaries were boring because I didn't see good documentaries when I was a college student. So my love was for cinema. I was like bunking my classes and going to film festivals, attending retrospectives, working with Calicut Academy, all that. But somewhere during my masters, I happened to see very good Indian documentaries, and that completely changed my idea of a documentary to be like a God's own voice and the films division kind of films, I would say that maybe. So I found that this form is actually very interesting. So by the end of my masters, when we had a choice, you can do a fiction or a non-fiction, I was very sure I wanted to do a non-fiction, and I wanted to do it in film because I love film as a format. So I wanted to do a documentary on film. And I remember even my film faculty told that you have a wonderful idea. Why don't you go and do it in video instead of film? Because it's restricting the amount of footage you will get and etc. When you are in video, you can shoot as much as you want. But again, that's what again I was saying. Documentary doesn't mean that you shoot a lot and you just bring it to an edit table and then decide, okay, let me do something out of the footage I have shot. Like sometimes I get really offended when people say that, oh, I went to this Kumbh Mela and I shot something, I'm going to make a documentary. I'm like, that is not a documentary. For me, that is not a documentary. It's not like randomly shooting something and coming back and making a film. It is as like the process is as close as a fiction. You script, you research, you decide, you plan, and the crew is also exactly like you have a sound designer. You have maybe the only difference would be documentaries in Indian scenario is not made in that huge scale like a fiction is done. So the quality you see or the technicians which get into documentary may not be, that hi-fi, if I could so call so, like a fiction. Yeah.
But I think you will also get some real stuffs, which you might not have planned, which will add value to. Because of course, I have seen I think two of your documentaries I've definitely seen. No, three of them. What I've found is that you have a clear plan. You learn those technologies basically. About you have been looking for what camera should I go for, and that's open to public. As in, you're asking for what should I do for this, and what editing tool should I do? What's the advantage?
That's completely true. So each time when I do a movie, I take it as, an experience to learn something. So I feel that, somebody is giving me a fund to, Priya, we make a film. We are giving you a fund. Why didn't you make a film? And I'm like, oh, I will use that opportunity to learn something. So like My Sacred Glass Ball, since it was my first independent film, and I didn't have any, baggage of a filmmaker tag on me. I was so free and I was just playing with form. So that is why I think I experimented with puppetry, animation. I played with visual elements, and so it was quite fun that way. Then with Coral Woman also, in any film school, you never get a chance to learn underwater filmmaking. So I thought like this is an opportunity to jump into, like it was actually a deep dive for me, like Uma had done, my protagonist had done into the sea. For me, it was like a new world of filmmaking, which I was plunging into without even having any solid knowledge. I'm not even a good swimmer. But yeah, it is indeed. So after making Coral Woman, I did a lot more, like more than 5 or 6 more underwater films. We are working on Coral Woman Impact. So yeah, every time a new work means for me is a learning process. And actually, I will say that I am a selfish filmmaker because I love to hear stories and I love to live those experiences. So actually, it is my selfishness to live that life or experience, which sometimes I feel that's why I'm making a film. And I just share a slice of my experience through my cinema to the people around. So yeah, you're right. Your observation is quite right.
I'll come back to documentaries and more of your films because I might miss that. How come a girl from Calicut, came to Jamia? What inspired you? Who all were the filmmakers? I know you named a couple of documentaries, but then what all documentaries inspired you to make a decision that okay, this is my world. This is what I would want to do.
Yeah, I was born in a very traditional middle class family. And I would say that there was not even someone who was in the art sector. So I was not even trained in music or dance or anything. Generally, children get that kind of training. But because I don't blame my parents because it was not around in the family. So they said, okay, giving education is the primer thing or that is more important. And the focus was on that. And I was like a above average student. So yeah, after your 10th, you took your science. Everything was flowing like normal. And I remember during my +1, I even joined for engineering medical entrance. But somewhere during the end of +1, I felt I don't want to be an engineer or a doctor. So I just told my mother, like, I don't think I can be an engineer or a doctor. So she was quite supportive. She said, okay, you don't want to do it, don't do it. But then what do you want to do? And there like the problem, I didn't have an answer because I didn't know anything beyond. Like when I looked around, all my cousin sisters and brothers were either engineers or doctors. So I didn't have an answer. Then she said, okay, let's do a career counseling, which might help you. So they said she can be doing good in communication and management. So management means, okay, MBA, BBA. So parents started like looking for BBA courses, etc. But somewhere I heard of visual communication. I didn't know anything about it, but it sounded different and wow, this is something nice, visual communication. So I said, I want to do that without even having a knowledge what is visual communication. So my parents came to know, okay, Layla College is having a very famous visual communication BA. So they're like, okay, you go and do it. And at that time, maybe destiny, my father got transferred to Trivandrum. And in the train, someone said, Marivanya's College in Trivandrum is having something similar. So next day itself, me and my mom went to Marivanya's, and we went to the class, we met teachers. And I was at that point very homesick also, in the sense leaving family for the first time. So I said, I will do this course. So I ended up in mass communication purely by destiny. But I think a college atmosphere where you are studying really influenced you. And Ivanius was very active in terms of cultural activities. And being in Trivandrum also gave a lot of media exposure. So during the course of time, I was like doing all kind of internship. I went to AR, I went to public relations department, I went to an ad agency, I worked with Chalachitra Academy, I started writing for magazines. I tried every bit of it, and finally I started realizing, okay, film is more close to me than journalism. Then I came to know about Jamia, and then I'm like, okay, now to like that's what happens now. You knock at one door, it opens, and we don't know what is behind that door, but slowly one door opens to the other. You just have to try. Like when I came to know Jamia means you need to prepare in a particular way, you need a portfolio. So yeah, I started working out. Like it was a little hard at that point because there were a lot of hurdles, in the sense being a woman, coming from a very traditional home, to build that trust to the family. Like I remember when I started, even graduation time, my mother, if I don't reach home by 6 o'clock, she will be standing at the gate to give that mother that confidence your daughter is safe and she know to take care of herself. So it was not just my journey, also preparing my family that I am on the right track. So that was actually like a task along with building your career. But now my parents are in a very different zone altogether. Like I come back at 2 or I come back at 5 in the morning, it's fine for them. Like I don't take that what they are carrying, like I do realize, I meet people, I meet strangers, I go to places alone. So there is risk. I don't deny that in the tension why they take it, but the thing is, like, I know how to deal with it, and they know, okay, she can deal with it. So that also happened, I think, along that journey. Then yeah, after reaching Jamia Masscom, it was more practical based sessions than how I was doing my graduation. Kerala University is very theory based, and that theory didn't make any much sense. But Jamia was rigorous in terms of practicals, etc. Only the first year I remember we hardly had like theory, more practical based exercises. But I never thought that I'll join television. Like I remember when I was finishing my masters, I was like, this is the last time I'm going to do television, and I ended up doing it for 9 years. But yeah, but looking back, I think they were all learning process. But yeah, only thing was, even though I joined television, I didn't leave my passion. I kept nurturing it. I made 2 films, yeah, while I was working there. Right now, I'm going through a new phase of documentary filmmaking, because generally the life of a documentary is, okay, you make a film, you take it to festivals, maybe it gets some television or OTT platforms. But now worldwide a phenomena is happening, how to use a film to create an impact. So with Coral Woman, that's what we are doing, and I felt that since the film is also about environment, and it's high time we take it forward. So I took initiative to take the film beyond the film. So right now we have a team which is closely working on impact. Impact means we are using the film as the base, and trying to create impact on the society. So the film will have now a book which will be for children, which is inspired by the film. We will also have like an art installation, which is again inspired by the film. So like these are all proposals which are in making. We already made a website called coralwoman.com, and on the website we are going to have like people can experience and learn about corals. So where do you find corals? What is a coral? Or you want to know and experience it. So the website become a space where you can do all that. How many people get a chance to see underwater? And even when you see a flat image, you don't feel it. So how can we create that feeling and experience? So unless and until you see it and feel it, how will you feel like protecting it? Like we are all busy with our own life and a particular kind of thing. We hardly look into our nature, or like thanks to the lockdown, in that way we started looking around and we became more conscious of environment for a second. Life took a pause, and that pause was much needed for the environment, I feel. But when it comes to underwater, till I made this film, even I was not aware of the seriousness of the issue. It was only this film which made me understand it's not that simple. If you find that the salt you eat is having microplastic, you are consuming it in every bite you take. And sometimes when I go to hotels and they say that, I tell them don't use straws, and they are like, madam, dusra mehenga padta hai, it's more expensive. I'm like, no worries, don't, just remember you have kids, right? And they are eating plastic. So if you think of a 50 paise as like a profit, just remember that your kids are eating plastic, and you might you have a lifespan of maybe another 50 years, but your children have a bigger lifespan, and the earth is not ready for that. But that happened because I saw what is going inside underwater. So I wanted people to experience the same.
நான் காணும் உலகங்கள் நீ காண வேண்டும். Actually, I want you to dive and see this beautiful underwater.
And my purpose is people should watch it. I believe that people like, if you notice, like Coral Woman ended with a quote by Sylvia Earle, who's an oceanographer, and she said, people won't care even if they know, but people can't care if they are unaware. So that unaware part is what we have to take away. We need to inform people. We need people to realize. And I don't want to spoon feed by telling, oh, see, global warming is happening. That is not my way of filmmaking, or I don't believe in that. I don't believe that people watch my film and from tomorrow world is going to be good, or they're going to be environment conscious. No. But if I can trigger small parts, then it will create a conversation, and that might actually create an impact. So I always, like, when people approach me telling I want to see your film, I say that come back with 10 people. If you promise that you will watch the film with 10 people, then I'll send you the film. Because that 10 people is important for me, because the experience of watching a film in a group, and post that you like it or you don't like it, but you will indulge in a conversation for sure. And that conversation is more important. I would like to make a happy film, where people just laugh throughout and it just make you happy and smiling throughout. But certain films need to have that kind of conversations after watching it. Yeah, I prepared a concept and I'm actually pitching it in different platforms. So I am planning to have an art installation work residency. The film will be the base for the art residency, and it will be people working on different multiple elements, like one sculptor, maybe a painter, a person who is working with waste, a researcher, a diver. So people from different areas will come together and produce an art. I dream to have the installation, which a part of it being done underwater. Oh, it's it's out there. I hope it comes to a reality soon. But so now we are looking for partners for this. So that means we need grant support, we need artist support, we need people come. It will be an open call, will be there. I have few artists who are already there on board, and I hope we'll have like senior artists will be coming on board to mentor these artists. And yeah, we'll plan to create a an art installation out of this residency. The COVID finished soon so that it can happen.
Yeah, exactly. I love this aspect of creating a movement, as in there is this Korean woman impact.
That's our tagline also. Movie becomes a moment.
What are the inspiring documentaries and the documentarians? An era before, they did a lot of struggles, like Anand Padwardhanji, and when we met, I've talked about C. Sharachandran, who have worked with lots of such movements to make things happen. He told in one of the interviews, long ago, as in documentary is the future.
True. I also strongly believe in this quote I had read. A nation without documentaries are like a family without a family album. When you look back and we are actually documenting, we are going through that history. And these are all like connected. I think the beauty of Anand Padwardhan's films are mainly that, like how he connects different issues which had happened, and there is a thread in you, and sometimes you miss that thread. And it's very important to bring those beats together to get a sense. It's like beyond your thinking. That's making his films more political for me. And talking about the filmmakers who had really inspired me, I would say that films like Vani Subramanian's Ayodhya Ghada. That's one film which I really liked. It's not just like one voiceover and you put some visuals, but the beauty of filmmaking is that, right? Now, in that, all art forms are there. You have paintings, you have music, you call anything. You can have dance, you can have everything in that form. So it's like bringing all art together in one medium. I think that's the beauty of film. And I like filmmakers when they play with that. That's why I like works of Agnes Varda. How she freezes time, not like she uses her own voiceover, but it's so interesting to just listen to her. She uses photographs, how she uses archives. Even the using of archives is not just like some archival black and white photos. Even how you show that is also which makes the films interesting. Then I like Reena Mohan's work because the sensitivity she brings in, definitely she's a brilliant editor, and I was so fortunate to work with her. So how she even how even when you give a material to her, how she play with it. A film has a rhythm. That's something I had learned from her. Even though it is a documentary, like me speaking or you speaking have a speed or a rhythm, but that need not be the rhythm of your film. So how she even gave pauses between how we are speaking, or either she brings it together. She builds that rhythm. It's something which I had actually learned while working with her in Coral Woman and the film before that. So yeah, Reena's work had inspired me. Mishta Jain, I really like her work. Now, her works, for example, the first film I saw was City of Photos. Like, these are films where I can remember the scenes and shots and dialogues. It is like, you say Sholay ka dialogue, most of the people know. For me, from these films, these are films where I can recollect scene or shot or dialogue. It remained for me. I really like Ranjan Palat's cinematography. For example, there is like a series of films he did, which is called A Boy on the Branch, and so there is a series of films he had done. This is like they were following some RSS children who were like growing up. So the filmmaker actually Lilith Bachani is the filmmaker. So I really love those because you are not leaving. You made a film and you just left it. maybe after a decade, you go back and see what happened to those characters. That adds a different layer. So these are filmmakers, I think, who really inspired me or made me feel that, play with form. And I like, for example, Nushta Jain had made it huge in that way, that in the sense expanding it into an international level, even having a PVR release, towards a moment where people actually go buy a ticket and watch a documentary film. It's not like, free mein dikhane ka. That's, you won't ask Anurag Kashyap, can we show your film for free? No, you don't. You pay. You find like spending 100 rupees or 300 rupees for his film is fine. But when documentary films are like in the past few years, we had seen that few films got released in PVR, and I really enjoy films like not maybe like a serious topic. For example, a young filmmaker Hardik Mehta, he had done this beautiful film on the kite lovers from Ahmedabad, famous in Ahmedabad. So it's a short documentary, but you laugh throughout, you smile throughout, and it's a simple story, but it's an experience in itself. For a second, sometimes you feel like, was it a fiction or a non-fiction? And so yeah, I think these are some filmmakers who really inspired me, and always a benchmark to keep, and you work towards that.
When you talk about this, when making it more appealing for the audience, the quality of visuals also changed lately, and especially your both your survey number 0 and Horror Woman, the extremely catchy visuals. Those are
Yeah.
very interesting. And another aspect that I've noticed in Horror Woman was Bindu's involvement with the music. So how important is music in a documentary?
Music and sound is very important. Sometimes people underestimate it, but I really believe in that power of that, because I had like experiences. For example, once we had a screening in Chennai, and a person came to me and said, "I like there is a scene of rain in the film. It's a very small scene, like 40 seconds or something." But he said that I felt like I was standing in a rain, then even to create an underwater, how will you, because many people haven't experienced underwater, so you should create that feeling through your sound designing. So Bindu and the sound designer worked very closely in designing it, and what I did was, like, I made a WhatsApp group where our cinematographer divers are also there, so they actually had interactions. How do you listen, how does it sound? So when they were designing something, they were sharing it to them and saying, does it make sense? Do you feel it like this when you are underwater? So that to create that kind of feeling. And Bindu, I think only in the first film it was first time we were working together, we were understanding each other. We worked, like, I was very specific, can you please use this music instrument, or because I really in the desert, because it's a desert film, I really wanted that feeling of wind. So I asked her, can you use some wind instrument in that? So, and she took it. But with Coral Woman, I didn't tell her anything. I just placed a sample music wherever I wanted in this film, and I trusted her because we know each other, we know how it is, and she was part of the filmmaking from the very beginning. It was not like only in the post production she came, and she knew the project from the very beginning. So it was very quite easy, and in fact, there were places when she went beyond what I had expected. For example, the end sequence. Because for me it's a beautiful end of me and Uma both swimming together, and so in my mind it was a happy music, but Bindu actually designed a happy end, and then she said, "No, Priya, we should not end with a happy music," because she said that people should not get out of the room smiling and this thing. People should carry that, what they had seen and experienced. So then she went and reworked a sad mood also into that existing track. So it was a reminder of what we had seen. So I really enjoyed working with her. She's a very sensible person. I think my films carry a lot of sensitivity in that way because of the subjects and the characters I involve with. So I really want my crew also to have that sensitivity, and somehow with her it gels very well.
Having said that, people will be curious to see, to get a chance to watch Coral Woman. So, are you planning any OTT or any possible screening?
OTT is not possible because of the copyright issues with PSBT. So we are not even looking at any monetary thing out of Coral Woman. So OTT is completely out. But yeah, there are invitations for online screenings. So I keep sending. I never restrict this thing. Individuals, I don't encourage that much. But I tell them, yeah, as I said, if you bring 10 people, even if I don't know you, I'll send it. Because the films are made for people to watch. Screenings keep happen every month, one or two keeps happening. So I'm always open with screenings that way.
Wanted to ask about Uma. I wanted to ask more about Bindu and other women. Yeah, of course, that is another point which I wanted to check with you.
So I always get this criticism. Every screening I remember, I get this question: why your crew is mostly women, or why do you do that? But I say that it initially started as depending on my topics, I preferred women because I'm not a filmmaker who shoot quite a lot. Luckily, my biggest blessing is when I meet any person or any character, I get connected to that person very fast, and they get connected to me very fast. So I sometimes get like moments very easily and faster. So for me, it's very important that they have a comfortable space of women, because when you're talking about virginity, for example, you don't want a male crew to be there when she want to talk about sex or personal feelings. So that's how actually women crew started. But slowly it became my politics, because you are actually growing as a filmmaker. You worked in a television industry, and you worked in a film industry, and you were noticing things, and you felt that if I have a power to hire somebody, I would definitely give a chance to a woman, because there are a lot of talented women and men out there, but opportunity is less for women. So if I have a power to give that, make that choice, I will definitely prefer a woman. And so wherever I work, let it be my films, or even when I'm also associated with a grassroots organization called Khabar Lahariya. So even when I'm hiring for Khabar Lahariya projects, like definitely 99% I prefer a women. It's not like one is superior or one is inferior. No, not at all. And like there are wonderful men who I have worked with, but it's just like if it's a politics, now it is a politics. It was not started like that, but for now for me it is like a politics to filmmaking. Yeah.
So, you have planned your next project, or is it like still in the working?
COVID had completely changed the plans. It's because now the priority is more of COVID-related works, which we are going to do with Khabal Area. So the coming Khabal Area is a rural feminist organization. They're a digital media, and the idea is to tell rural stories where rural women are taking the lead. So I am like a supporting system for that to tell those stories. So the few stories from Bundelkhand area, which is UP, will be the focus in the coming 1 year.
Any future plans for a feature film?
Oh, recently I felt like writing a fiction. So I was trying to write something, but I think I'm not yet ready for that particular moment. As I said, it was always my first love. So I would always love to go back and explore. But it's like, a story comes to you, you want to tell it, and then you pick how do you want to tell it. Do I want to tell it in a fiction way or a non-fiction way? I even feels like sometimes the story of Uma could be a beautiful fiction film. It has all the scope for a fiction film. But yeah, it's like you have an art, you have a story. Do you want to paint it, and you're using oil paint or like a acrylic paint? It's like the choice of the painter.
A lot of things that I hear from you are new, as in the impact of it to the rest of the world. So I would love to hear more from you. We will come back and have a wonderful talk again.
I think I shared a lot of dreams also in this session. Many plans are just in the planning, but we are going through a time where we don't know when we'll be even out of this locked rooms.
दिन भी नहीं देखा, अभी 2.5 महीने देखना पड़ा था। लॉकडाउन के वक्त पैसे नहीं थे हाथ में, मम्मी की भी दवा नहीं आ पा रही थी, इधर में भाई का भी एक्सीडेंट हुआ था, वो भी ज़्यादा हार्ड काम नहीं कर सकता, इसलिए गुस्सा आता था कि पैसे नहीं मिल पाते थे, घर में सामान नहीं था। उन्होंने एक भी दिन के पैसे नहीं दिए, जितने दिन काम करा था बस उन्हीं दिन के पैसे दिए। वो जो मम्मी को पेंशन मिली थी बस उसी से खर्च चल रहा था, बाकी पैसे नहीं थे। हम 5 हैं तो 20 किलो गेहूँ और 5 किलो चावल मिलते थे, लेकिन काफ़ी कम था उसके हिसाब से, 1 महीने भी नहीं चलेगा वो तो। ये मम्मी की दवाई आनी होती है। दीदी ने मेरी मदद की, 3,000 रुपये आए थे मेरे अकाउंट में। 3,000 रुपये से मैं घर में सामान लाई, मम्मी की दवाई लाई, काफ़ी मदद मिली मुझे 3,000 रुपये। अब दिक्कत तो अब भी है, क्योंकि जो पहले का होता है वही आगे चलता रहता है, हमने पहले नहीं कमाया था।
And since I just came out of, I went out and had a shoot, I was not even sure, if I got infected or not, because you were out there.
Risky time. Do take care, and so nice of you to get into the real world and taking those footages to do something for the society. Wonderful job. Thanks a lot. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. Take care.